What's up, humans, and welcome to a new holiday Psicoactivo. Happy Saturday. It's a Saturday today. So, obviously, this is pre recorded because I'm in Mexico City. If it's a Saturday now I am in Tepoztlan, Morelos, where I told you guys that I was going to be. Be on the lookout for pictures and images on my social media, the Psicoactivo podcast, Instagram, Facebook, and my Twitter. In today's episode, I want to talk to you guys about the UFO hacker, Mr. Gary McKinnon, who back in the early 2000s, he decided to hack into the computers of NASA, the CIA, and what was he doing? He was looking for information about UFOs, but more specifically, he was looking for information about free energy, 0 point energy, because he made the connection from speaking to Dr. Stephen Greer and the people from the Disclosure Project who had been covering this and following this for years now, throughout the entire decade of the 1990s. Back then, Dr. Stephen Greer was a very different individual. He wasn't the man he is today. Many would say that when they started looking into this in the 90s and early 2000s, the man covering this was him. And he was doing a tremendous job. He had hundreds of witnesses, hundreds of people who allegedly worked on these programs that were coming forward and talking about what they saw or what they worked on. And Gary McKinnon was very much involved in this. So, given that his expertise at the time were those of a hacker, he decided to put his talents to good use. So, he decided to hack these computers. Funny enough, back then, there wasn't really a lot of security around the internet. In fact, there were laws created after Gary McKinnon hacked into these computers because they wanted to reinforce the security laws of the internet. And McKinnon tells the way in which he hacked these computers. And today, in today's world, it seems fairly simple because these were like Windows 98 kind of computers. So it really isn't that difficult to hack them now. But back then, it was like state of the art. So here is a recent upload from McKinnon himself, where he describes the way in which he hacked the system and how he got involved and what he saw there. Here's Gary McKinnon.
As I'm concerned, it may sound circumstantial to some, but as far as I'm concerned, it's proven. As part of the Disclosure Project, there was Donna Hare, a NASA photographic scientist who had up to secret clearance, was in Building 8 of Johnson Space Center, she says in her testimony, and that one of her colleagues was doing some photographic work, invited her over to look at it. And she saw high-res satellite imagery, maybe half a K above treetops. I think it was like a white disc. And she at first thought, it's a blob in the emulsion, some kind of fault with the photographic process. And he said, well, look, blobs in the emulsion don't have perfectly formed shadows going in the same direction as the trees, etc., etc. All the detail was there. And she basically was saying that they had this whole place in Building 8 for airbrushing out UFOs on a regular basis, because they then, sell on their imagery to universities and the like. And having been all over other NASA installations already, I assumed the blank password scanning method would work the same in Johnson Space Center, and it did. Once I was in there, I used various network commands to strip out the machines that were in Building 8 and got onto those. And the very first one I was on literally had what she said. I can't remember if it was filtered and raw, processed and unprocessed, but there was definitely folders whereby there was a transformation in the data taking place between one and the other. These folders were full of images in a proprietary NASA format, or in a format I'd never seen before, no JPEGs or GIFs. They're also 200 to 300 megabytes in size, and being on a 56k dial-up modem, there's no way I was going to download it. It's like 5 minutes per megabyte. So what I did, the remote control program that gives you graphical control of the machine, turned the resolution right down, turned it down to I think 4-bit color, And then on the desktop of the NAS machine, navigated to the folder, double-clicked on the first image. The application launches, the image comes up on the screen, but it's still very, very slow. And what I saw, I was hoping to see exactly what she was describing, sources and very definite imagery. And what instead I saw was, I assume it was the Earth. This was in sort of shades of grey, but you had the Earth's hemisphere, I think about 2/3 of the screen. And then halfway between the top of the hemisphere and the bottom of the picture, there was a classic sort of cigar-shaped object, but with sort of golf ball domes, geodesic domes, above, below, and this side, and I assume the other side as well, so to the left and right as well. And with very slightly flattened cigar ends. No seams, no rivets, no sort of telemetry or antennae or anything like that. And it just had a feeling of not being man-made. There was none of the sort of signs of manufacture.
So in essence, it was a craft, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
And
when I first saw the top half of it, I thought, oh, well, it's a boring satellite picture or something. But as more of the thing was revealed, it was obvious it wasn't like any satellite I'd ever seen.
Wow.
And I've been space mad since I was about 14, so I've seen lots of pictures of satellites.
What he did there unleashed a plethora of things that were really bad that happened to him. He was attempted to be extradited to the U.S. The U.S. wanted to put him in prison for 60 years. The UK government defended him. His mother was one of the most fearless people that was doing activism to defend what he did. And to this day, Gary McKinnon maintains that what he saw there, he believes to be real. That image of a cylindrical object with, in the background, there was like the surface of the Earth. This was presumably a picture or an image from one of the satellites from NASA, the International Space Station, I presume. And McKinnon still maintains to this day that what he saw was real. But it's really interesting to see him speak about what he thinks is going on today and how he has changed his perspective about UFOs and about what he thinks is the most important aspect of UFOs and the phenomenon. I want you guys to listen to today's Gary McKinnon and what he thinks about UFOs and consciousness. Here it is.
Hello. So I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm just on a roll, drunk, talking stuff about my experiences. Out of the body. To me, consciousness is the most important thing. It's not UFOs. It's not lights in the sky. It's not whatever. It's who are we? What are we? How do we come to be here? Etc. And the way I've found to explore who you really are, well, what you really are, because who you really are is personality. That's just a thing you build upon in this life, and I believe we have many lives. So what I think about exploring your actual consciousness is you have to do what used to be called astral projection, out of the body experience, now called whatever. And my method is to lie very still for at least 30 minutes. Best to do some yoga or stretching, something to relax the body before you lie down. So your body's very relaxed, your muscles are all very relaxed, your mind is very relaxed. Do some breathing, he says, smoking, sorry. But if you do that for 30 minutes, your brain releases a chemical that immobilizes your physicality. It stops the body moving. And if you can maintain your consciousness during this immobilization, you can achieve separation of the consciousness from the body, and then you can experience very interesting things. Have fun with it.
I guess Gary is a unique figure within the community. He was always obviously fighting for his freedom. He never really had time to get that much involved in any effort after what he did related to UFO disclosure. But he remains one of those people that wanted to prove and help people get this quote unquote free energy, if such a thing exists. And this is something that is happening still to this day. There's a lot of people that are fighting or trying to find out whether this free energy exists or not. There are many avenues in which we can go down and talk about this. I recently just made contact with Mr. Bob Greer. He told me that he would go on the channel. So after my trip, I'm gonna connect with him. I'm gonna have him on the channel so we can talk about stuff like this, because I know that he has a unique perspective in all of this. He's a scientist, and I know that a lot of people want to hear what he has to say about this free energy and about the nature of the universe. He has very interesting concepts. He was actually recently on that psionics summit, and he wanted to like give all of his presentation, but they didn't allow him because it was time constrained. So I decided to reach out and tell him that if he wanted to do this presentation, he could do it on my channel. And he said yes. So expect that during the second week of March, I think is going to be. But I'll give you guys more updates on that. But I want you guys to tell me, what do you think about what Gary McKinnon did back then? I know that in today's climate, it would be virtually impossible to do something like that. We already have the examples of Edward Snowden or Julian Assange, who published information that is sensitive for national security in the US, and they treated them like criminals. That is also coincidentally one of the reasons a lot of people don't believe people like David Grush, Lou Elizondo, and everybody. Recently, we just heard Dr. Jacques Vallée talking about how he, every time wanted to write about something on his books, he needed to go to the government to ask permission. And I guess that a lot of people, including me, don't really understand how that works, how that is possible. I know that there are new whistleblower laws that were passed over the last 5 or 6 years. Maybe that helps. Maybe that's one of the reasons, but it's still one of the main points of contention that people have when they talk against Grush or against Lou, that contrary to Snowden, McKinnon, or Assange, these people have to ask permission to say whatever they want. And if they don't get it, they just won't say it. So there's like a strange contrast there that it would be nice if we could understand a little better. But what Gary did back then, I don't think can happen today. What do you think the significance of what he did is? What do you think about his never-ending wish to seek for this free energy for people? And what do you think about today's Gary McKinnon, who talks about consciousness and out-of-body experiences, and that consciousness is fundamental in all of this? Do you agree with him? Don't you agree with him? If you do or don't, leave it in the comments and let me know. I guess this is it for me today. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to please like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can get notified when a new video drops. If you want to support the channel in any other way, I'm going to leave a few links in the description. Take your pick, and thank you for the support. You can also become a member or follow us at the KGRA website. We're in both, and you're always welcome there, so thank you. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Don't forget, stay curious. Bye.